So I'm an atheist.
Okay.
So that means I don't believe in God.
Yeah,
For those who don't know, in
that's
2025.
fine.
And so I personally am a recovering porn addict.
Okay.
Not and when I say recovery, I don't mean like I'm in a program or anything. I just
Right. Yeah.
that's the amount of time that I've spent working on that problem, and it was
Hmm.
something I spent a lot of money on. It was destroying my relationship, several other relationships. It like what we talked about with addiction before. It was a behavior that was negatively impacting my life.
Right.
And one of the things that I have discovered through that journey that has been really important to me, and I think a lot of times is something I criticize about a lot of these religious-based addiction programs, is I do wonder if there is a shame element that is perpetuated by the religious model. Just because, not even if you were, harping on them the whole time, like you're an addict, your addiction's bad, but kind of baked into the cake is this idea of what you're doing is a sin, what you're doing is immoral. And I can speak from experience as someone who is a recovering porn addict, like you get trapped in this shame cycle and it almost becomes impossible to get out. And, even as an atheist, even as somebody who doesn't subscribe to that, I think because of my religious upbringing, like that is kind of just so deeply ingrained in me already. So like I do have this shame aspect along with it. So I guess I'm just curious what your thought is on that. And this isn't a gotcha or anything. Like I'm just
Oh no.
as someone who is in your position, I'm genuinely
You're gonna have
curious
to
what
work
you.
harder for that. Um, so here's the deal. First of all, I'm impressed that you would share that, and maybe you've shared it on your podcast before,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
I'm actually impressed that you would share that about the porn addiction because honestly, um, people don't like drug and alcohol addiction, but I would almost bet that they're much more used to hearing that than hearing what you're talking about.
Oh,
You know,
110%.
right. So that and that is, so that's impressive that you would admit that. So I appreciate that very much because that's kind of who we are here. Is we're always very open with our guys, and it, they appreciate that, and your addiction really in one way is no different than any other. You have to find a way to to distract yourself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and for you, it's more about the distraction. I used to counsel a lot of youth that were going through similar. They just weren't quite to the addiction level yet. Um, as to the shame, what I would encourage you to do, and I'm not encouraging you to believe different than what you believe.
Sure.
It's not my job to convert you. It's only my job to share with you what has happened in my life and how God's changed my life.
Sure.
Okay, and my connection with Him. It's not just Him being this all-knowing being that strikes people down. Because the reality is, if you remember a few minutes ago, I said a lot of people have been hurt by churches.
Yes. Yes.
As have I. When I admitted to being an alcoholic, and actually was getting sober, I haven't had a drink since the day I admitted it. Right. However, I was also sitting in a church or standing on stage in a church helping lead worship, and I was drunk. So they didn't care for that very much. And over the next 8 months or so, and again, I've never had a drink since that day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that was 22 and a half years ago, but I was shoved out the door. We don't want you helping anymore. We don't want you teaching anymore. We don't think, this, we don't think that. Even after a year, I hadn't had a drink, and it was still that way. So, churches, and you may have heard this before, and this is not a convincing thing. This is, churches are filled with people, and sometimes people are stupid.
Yep.
That's how I would say it. And if you ask anybody that knows me, they would tell you that I will tell you direct. That's wrong. That's stupid. And I would say that for your addiction, if you haven't embraced that as far as God, then you've obviously found something to help you. Unless you're going to tell me that you haven't seen porn in 3 days, then I'm going to say, okay, now we've got a different thing going here. But if it's been an extended period of time, you've done well with distracting yourself. Now, when it comes to faith-based treatment programs, unfortunately, statistics speak for themselves,
Sure.
and they have a much greater success rate than non-faith-based programs.
Sure. I mean,
and part of that reason, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
Part of that reason is because they stay longer, so that is a factor in it.
Sure.
And as far as shaming, I don't know where shaming has ever worked in a long term. And we don't have any problem telling a guy in the middle of the chapel, if he says, I don't believe in this, because we've had it happen more than once.
Sure.
I don't believe in this. I don't, and we say, that's okay. That's okay. We'll be done in about 15 minutes, and you'll be able to go out and smoke and relax and get it out of your mind, because most of the guys here would rather be in that chapel service.
Sure.
Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess the one thing I would maybe say on that is I think part of the reason also why it's so faith-based is because of the government incentives. Not in terms of like that churches are incentivized, but because they have they're not beholden to taxes, that they're just kind of naturally able to flourish. That would probably be my argument, but
okay.
I guess this is just something that it's like it's like how they say like atheists can't get past step 1 of AA, right? So I mean, this is always just something through my addiction that, and I think it's different because I think in the world of pornography addiction, there does just tend to be more of a religious bend to that, probably versus something with alcohol, because like there is something kind of intricate to like religion and Christianity, especially, where it's like there is this focus on fidelity and
right.
faithfulness and all that. So I think that probably colludes with that as well.
I'm sure that it adds to your I don't want to call it opposition.
Maybe, sure, you can call it that.
Your negative thought process towards that. I'm sure that plays a part in it. And I wouldn't. I haven't been through what you've been through.
Sure.
So it would be my guess that those kind of things really drag you down, and I don't think I'd want to stand for them either if somebody was just trying to embarrass me into quitting.
Yeah, no,
I've tried that many times and it never worked.
It does not work,
No.